Almost 6 months ago, a beloved member of our CBS 11 family endured what is the worst loss that can befall a parent, and that would be the death of a child. And Karen Borta is joining us tonight. And it's not the situation that we wanted to sit together again, but tonight we are, because you sat down with Babe Laufenberg recently to talk to us and talk to him with what tonight will be a pretty emotional interview.
It really was. You know, Babe has been a dear friend of mine for more than 20 years, since the first day we started working here together at CBS 11. But right now, he is going through the most painful experience of his life. We met for coffee to talk about Luke, how he's coping with Luke's passing, and the legacy that Luke left behind.
Daddy-O, Big Poppy. I don't know if I ever was called just Dad.
Babe Laufenberg has had many high-profile jobs, but easily the best job he's ever had is being a dad. That's why his world all but shattered the day they learned his younger son had cancer.
And it's a very, very aggressive. So we knew it was a tough one.
I sat down with Babe recently over coffee to talk about Luke. Coffee, because that's what the Laufenbergs do.
Both my sons would go, and I'd always say, okay, go ahead, do your texting, get your group text messages out of the way, and check Twitter, and in 5 minutes we'll put the phones away and we're just gonna have our coffee and talk. And so it was just a great time to kind of sit down and really find out what's going on in their lives.
It wasn't over coffee, but in a phone call that Babe first learned that something was wrong with Luke, who was playing college football in Arizona. He was in agonizing pain.
He was coming home the next day, and he said, told me about his pain. I said, well, why don't you lie down, take a couple Tylenol, let's get you home, and he said, I can't lie down, it hurts too much.
A doctor in Mesa thought it must be the flu, but Luke's pain worsened exponentially.
A day or two in, we were in the emergency room. He was in so much pain, he was literally ripping his shirt off. And it was all this bone pain that was affecting him. Back, legs, so the cancer had spread throughout his body. Obviously, we didn't know that.
It took 10 days for doctors to finally determine that Luke had cancer, Burkitt lymphoma, a rare, aggressive cancer that had to be fought just as aggressively.
And they told us at the time, we really get one shot at this thing. If it relapses, it's not good.
After 5 months of brutal chemo treatments, a full body scan in early May showed that he was technically cancer-free. And for Luke, that meant one thing.
His whole goal was, again, to build his body back up and play.
He was given that chance months later when he was recruited to play for UTEP. He was there for 3 happy months when his back began hurting.
They did an MRI in El Paso, and they read it back here. As doctors at Children's read it, and basically said, you better get him home.
The cancer had returned. A new treatment seemed to be working, but then the pain came back. The resulting scan brought the worst possible news.
We were in the examining room after the scan, and doctor walked in and basically said, this is it. He's terminal. But again, never complained. Never said, why me? I was saying, why him? And naturally, as a parent, you say, hey, give it to me. He doesn't deserve that. Give it to me. But you find out it doesn't work like that.
Luke's only wish was for life to go on as normal. He didn't want to be treated differently, and he really didn't want to talk about it.
One day I had told him over coffee, I said, if you want to talk about anything, if you got anything to say, I'm here to listen. And he said, well, there's really not much to say. He said, it is what it is, and there's nothing we can do about it.
One thing Luke did want to do, fulfill a lifelong dream of skydiving. So despite the pain, Luke, wearing a giant grin, jumped out of a plane.
I think that's all Luke wanted to do, was just get as much out of every moment of what he had left in his life, and he did it.
But the time remaining to him was short. He passed weeks later.
When he passed, we were in the room, and it was about 2:30 in the morning when he basically quit breathing. And I remember lying across his chest and apologizing to him because I felt like, again, there's something I should have been able to do, because in the past there was always something that you could do to make things better. And this was one where it just wasn't going to happen. And I don't think he blames me, but again, it's just hard to deal with as a parent.
And for Babe, every single day since has been hard. He takes solace in being told it's okay not to be okay.
I've read a lot about grief, and one of the things they said is there are a lot of emotional booby traps out there. He loved Jersey Mike's. Well, you never realize how many Jersey Mike sandwich shops there are until you see one and you start crying.
One thing he does appreciate are all the people who've reached out to say how much they've been inspired by Luke's strength and perseverance. At UTEP, they were considering retiring Luke's jersey number, but the head coach decided it would be better to give it to a deserving player who showed Luke's hustle, determination, and positive attitude.
The head coach said he had a profound effect on everybody there and everybody he came in contact with, which was pretty remarkable, again, to think you're there for 3 months and he made that kind of an impression on people.
In the months following Luke's passing, Babe has met with many of Luke's friends for coffee, and he learned that Luke had shared with them that his one worry was for the family he was leaving behind. No thoughts of himself, just those whom he loved.
This was, and continues to be, 100 times harder than anything we've ever been through in our lives. And you just try to make it through the day, and then you get to tomorrow and you try to make it through tomorrow. And I don't know when that ends, and I know it's different for everybody, but it's going to be around for a long time.
Now, Luke's friends came up with the idea for these bands that say "Live Like Luke." It's a reminder to make the most of every day and to do it with courage, grace, and the humor that Luke displayed to the end. And the Laufenbergs have set up the Luke Laufenberg Fight Fund at UTEP, supporting student-athlete football players as a way to honor Luke's legacy. If you'd like to contribute, and for extras that we weren't able to fit into this story, just go to our website at cbsdfw.com. And you know, one of the things that Babe shared with me was that when I mentioned that Luke didn't really want to talk about it, even after he was declared technically cancer-free in May, and then he went to UTEP. He never let his fellow football players, he never really talked about it. They knew that he had cancer, but they didn't know the extreme. He had gone from 240 pounds down to 150 during this battle. And you know, and it helped them. I mean, he saw an interview with one of those players who said, you know, I feel like if this kid, you know, who had cancer could battle back and be here, you know, I should fight a little bit harder too. Yeah. I mean, so those are those little things that Luke just being there. And
Babe had said to me along the way that Luke had the air about him that he didn't want the cancer to define him, and maybe kind of dovetails off the UTEP and the boys there and staff that, you know, he didn't want to be that guy. He just wanted to be one of the kids playing football.
Absolutely.
That's all he wanted.
Yeah, he didn't want to be the Make-A-Wish kid.
Right.
He just wanted to go about life as normal.
And can I ask you about, you said it in the piece, and Babe, I saw on his Twitter account recently, it's okay not to be okay.
Right.
How is he best navigating that? Because there's a lot of people out there who have been in the same boat, who might be in the same boat down the road. How is he doing it?
The way he describes it is it's different for everybody. The pain is there, but people get through it differently. He's not the kind of guy who wants to go to group therapy, but he'll read about grief, and he knows that, you know, this is something that he'll never be the same.
Yeah, and it's something that everybody navigates completely differently, and that's why it's okay not to be okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Karen.
Yeah.
It's family. Mm-hmm. Live like Luke.